Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tim and this is X for the Unknown. Today I want to talk about why I love the paranormal, and I want to ask you to leave a comment to why you're interested in the paranormal and really what got you into it. For me, I think I was born with the interest of the unknown. I was always drawn to it. I begged my grandparents to read me spooky stories. My grandmother was great, at reading me a spooky story. That's all I wanted. And as I got older, well, even before I was a teenager, most kids they'd be reading comic books. And here I was in the occult section of the, Barnes and Noble or whatever it was back then. And I'd be getting books on haunted locations and Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, all these things, UFOs. I've always had an interest in all these things. Now, when I started, really is back in the early 80s, I was in high school. And I was pretty skeptical back then. And what my friends and I did is, particularly, I had one friend, Kurt. And, back then we had no internet. We didn't, have a lot to do. But what we like to do is explore graveyards, cemeteries. And so, 30 years plus, I was I started as a ghost hunter and then became a paranormal investigator probably in the early 90s, where, back in the 80s, we would go in there with flashlights and see if we could find a ghost, and mainly to get, scared. It was, it was exciting for us. But then I wanted to learn more. And I bought, well, back then, there wasn't much in the way of equipment. I saved up my money and bought one of this, just came out, a tri-field meter, which they've been using for years for EMF. And, I had a Radio Shack tape recorder. I used that for EVPs. And what else? A flashlight, a notebook, really not much of anything else. That was pretty much your kit back then. Now, when I started, again, I was skeptical, but then I started experiencing things. And one of the major things was my grandfather passed away many years ago, and my son was very little at the time. And for Halloween, we'd always go, to their house because they had a bunch of candy for him. And that year, right after he passed, I believe he passed in September, and of course this was later in October. But we went there, and we were talking to my grandmother, and all of a sudden the lights started flashing back and forth. And these lights were not remote control lights. They were touch control. Basically, your finger had to, hit a little ring on the side to turn them up, down, or off. And basically, your energy, magnetic energy, would work this. And so they acted like EMF, like a REM pod and flashing. So I thought that was very strange. And through the years, I went to different locations, and my name got out there in the, again, it was probably the later 90s. I had TV stations and radio stations, newspapers. They wanted to do articles about me, interviews. And it was particularly around Halloween. Everybody wanted a ghost piece. So I was fairly popular right around then. But then people started calling me, contacting me, wanting me to investigate their homes. They swore their house was haunted. And I went to a lot of locations back then. In some locations, I actually caught activity. It was always very, very minor, maybe a whisper, and I was never sure. Was it, what you would call a pareidolia, where you think you might have heard something, or you think you might have saw something or smelt something. I was never really sure. And, I kept doing this, and of course, life works you in many ways. And I was raising a family and starting a business, and I didn't have a lot of time to go out and investigate like I wanted to. But, I'd find time every once in a while, and I still was reading books and just trying to stay connected in the paranormal field. So there got to be a point where I really wasn't investigating at all. And that happened for a number of years. But then when I closed my business back in 2023, I wanted to start doing it again and actually start this YouTube channel. That fall, I went to a location. It was a local location, and it was really the first time that it solidified the paranormal for me. We were back there doing some EVPs, and we weren't getting anything, I thought. So we went home. We thought, oh, maybe we hear, we felt weird. We felt like there was something behind us the entire time. So I go home and I start editing the footage, going through it, and I can't believe what happened. I was doing an EVP with a little digital recorder at the time, and I can't believe I asked, are there any Civil War soldiers here? And before I could even finish the sentence, a voice, clear as day, said, killed in a fight. It was not my voice, it was kind of gravelly and rough. And I, I saw that and I heard that. And man, I started screaming for my wife, Lisa, come here, check this out. It was crazy. And so I got my digital recorder and I was going through it and listening. There was nothing on the recorder. What had happened was something actually whispered into my microphone or somehow embedded right into the camera itself, which was insane. But that was a real turning point for me. Even though I kind of believed in the paranormal, I didn't really, it wasn't solidified for me. It wasn't right there. So that really did it. And that year, we actually captured a lot of activity at different locations. And that kind of brings me to a point where, I'd like to talk to you about the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator. And it's to keep it really short. The ghost hunter, you go out with a flashlight. Nowadays maybe ghost tube on your phone, things like that. Go on tours and all that. Now, a paranormal investigator, that's when you use a lot of equipment and you take a lot of notes. You want to record the environment and the barometric pressure, what the weather's like, if there's what the stone is like, if there's limestone, if there's water running through the area, if there's a storm, happening. All these things you take notes, and in activity you need to record that and document that. And that's great. I did it for a long time. Now, as I'm getting older, I find myself slowing down, and I don't want to drag all that equipment with me. And what I'm going to coin a term. What I am now is a paranormal explorer. And what that is simply is I like to go to unknown locations that has no history of hauntings. I like to go through and check it out, doing call and responses, EVPs. We'll take a few pieces of equipment with us, maybe the Polter script device, which is like an Ovilus, get that. Maybe run Ghost Tube. Do a few things like that. I like the Mel meter a lot, so I'll grab that to get EMF readings, but I won't bring everything. And we don't document everything. I don't even, I don't look into the history of the place. We like to go in cold, and I am surprised on all the activity that we capture in these graveyards, cemeteries, old buildings, just in my local area. You don't have to go to Waverly Hills or, 100 miles. You don't have to drive that to actually get paranormal activity. It's probably right in your hometown. And once you get the word out that you're interested in looking into that, people will come to you. They really will. So I find that very exciting. And it's the new way I approach everything. I find it a lot more entertaining to do that. But anyways, that's what got me into the paranormal. Please again leave a comment. What got you into it? And I'd love to know what some of the activity that you caught. Please subscribe, like, share the video. Let us grow. I would really appreciate that. Until our next adventure, thank you.